Hello gamers, it is I, Jack, and today I'm making a list video because who doesn't love a good old list video? This video is going to be one that I think about a lot. Now, if you have watched a video on this channel before, you would know that I am a big fan of movie games, and currently we are in a little bit of a renaissance era with these sorts of games. But at the same time, there is a bit of a tunnel opening up the other way round with a bunch of video games being made into movies, as it would seem studios are doing anything they can these days instead of coming up with original IP. So I thought I would look at some games that I personally think would make great movies. If done right, that is. And I'm sure some, if not all of these, probably have been greenlit, or at least the game developers have said that they're selling it to studios, as it would seem that Ubisoft is greenlighting all their IP into movies or TV shows in an attempt to stay alive. But let's just look at my, let's go top 8 games that need to be movies, and give a couple of pros and a couple of cons for each of them. And in no particular order, because I can't be asked coming up with a solid order. First up is the Mafia series. Which may not be a shock if you are aware, as I've done over 2 hours of content relating to Mafia, or the Mafia series. And the biggest pro for the Mafia games is that you could base it around the already amazing stories of Tommy, Vito, or Lincoln, but as the game has been set up, you also don't need to use the same people. Like, you could follow around someone else we are already aware of, so you could still get cameos for the fans. Like, for example, you could follow around Sal Marcano's rising up the ranks of the new Bordeaux crime scene, and then both Vito and Lincoln could have cameo appearances throughout the show. Or you could do someone like Henry, and then you can get cameos from Joe and Vito and the rest of the Mafia 3 cast and the rest of the Mafia 2 cast. And you even get to explore the whole Henry being a rat, if he was, if he wasn't sort of thing they had going on that didn't really get a solid answer. And if the writers wanted full detachment of the game characters, they could pick their own timeline in, like, let's say 80s Vegas or even a modern day city. But that also leads to one major con for the Mafia series, and that is the fact that it wouldn't really be any different to any of the other Mafia movies out there. And let's be honest, with movies like The Godfather, Scarface, Casino hanging out in the genre, it's very unlikely that the Mafia movie would be a groundbreaking one. And then a lesser con, but still a con, is that Mafia isn't at an all-time high in its popularity at the moment. It may even be one of its lowest points. I feel it's a bit higher now with the definitive edition release of Mafia 1, although there's also people who didn't like that than it was like after the release of 3. But like, would anyone apart from me and like hardcore Mafia fans want to see a Vito Scaletta or Lincoln Clay movie? I don't know. But hey, maybe the old country will be massive and revive interest in the series by the wider gaming market. Only time will tell. And here's hoping, because I'd love to get a 5th Mafia game if the old country is truly a return to form like they have been touting it as. Another game I have talked a lot about clocks in at number 2, that being Life is Strange. Having one of the same pros as Mafia, the fact that the Life is Strange series has set it up with an ever-changing protagonist until current games where we just can't get rid of Max for some reason. In theory, a movie could take place anywhere in the world where there are teenagers with problems, which is basically everywhere. And then adding superpowers, you have an idea for a killer movie. But not the movie killer. We don't like Ashton Kutcher around these parts. And the only real con I can think of is the fact that I feel Life is Strange would work a lot better as a TV show. because it gives you a lot more time to build up a connection to the characters. In each season you could go off to a different part of the state, a different part of the world. And the reason I think it'd work a lot as a TV show is there's already a TV show like this called Impulse, which I'm sure I'm the only one who watched because it was a YouTube Red original. But I feel like the show would fit perfectly into the Life is Strange stories. It's just a bit of a more dark, gritty take on it. But if you told me Impulse was like a darker, grittier, sort of like underworld take on Life is Strange, I would not be that surprised. And while we're here, top 3 YouTube Red shows: Impulse, Lifeline, and Cobra Kai. Anyways, on to number 3, that being Horizon Zero Dawn. The biggest pro for this one is also its biggest con, and that being this game has an incredibly rich lore. If you have played either of the games before, you're aware of just how much is going on within the games. And there is always so many changes for the writers to do one small thing and accidentally retcon like half of the lore because they didn't really understand what they were going on with. Good example of this would be Henry Cavill in The Witcher. If you know what happened before he left and why he left, that could also happen with Horizon Zero Dawn. Not that Horizon Zero Dawn is as big as The Witcher or has as much source material as The Witcher. There are also a lot of good examples of film and TV shows in the kind of like the overgrown post-apocalyptic world. But I also feel Horizon Zero Dawn would have a rich enough lore, and also it has robots to make it stand out upon its peers in the genre of the post-apocalyptic, overgrown, over-vegetation, human history took place years ago sort of movie. Or TV show like the Shannara Chronicles. That's the only one I can think of at the moment that's in its genre. But there's more, I think. And there's more games that would make great movies. And another movie with quite a packed genre is that of Red Dead Redemption. The first or second game, take your pick, or both. Maybe you get 2 movies out of it. You could even probably expand it into 3 if you wanted to. And I mean, you'd think with all the movies in that genre, it would be bad for the fictional Red Dead movie. But I think when you actually think back to the last of the good Western movies you saw, like just off the top of my head, the last good Western movie I saw was probably Hell or High Water. And the last proper like old school Western was, well, I can't even think of what it was. The last one I watched was probably like The Good, Bad and the Ugly, but like the last one released, who knows? Red Dead could revive the genre for a whole new audience, and I get to go back and watch great movies like The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. And I guess one of the downsides, if I had to think of one, is that Red Dead Redemption 2 is basically already a movie anyways, just better, because the horse testicles shrink when it's cold, and that's groundbreaking. Now, the next 2 ones are interesting, but hear me out. First up, Assassin's Creed. AKA childhood me's favourite game series. Now stop typing your comments, I can already hear you typing them. I am aware that Assassin's Creed already had a movie starring everyone's favourite German-Irish race car driver, Michael Fassbender. And let's just say the movie didn't go down particularly well, both in terms of making money with a budget of 100 and something million, making around 240 million, which these days, that's like unheard of a movie making that much money over its budget. But once you include marketing and all that, it's probably not a profit. And like the story wasn't a very good Assassin's Creed story. It was confusing even for Assassin's Creed fans to follow with everything that was going on. It just could have been so much better, and I do believe that if you give the reins to the right people, it will be good. I don't know who those right hands to give the reins to are, but I'm sure there is someone out there. Hell, maybe even get Will Ospreay in the movie, doing some assassin shit. I'm sure he would enjoy it. And then the movie would also get a bit of a bump from wrestling fans, and I'm sure a new Assassin's Creed movie would struggle to make a profit. But then these days, what movies are making profits? Most of them seem like they'll be like billion-dollar money pits that will never make money. Which is the premise of a money pit, and that was redundant saying it twice. But do you know what will make the most money of anything ever? A movie based around the game Dishonored. It's a unique game set in a time period that I feel we don't see much of. To my knowledge, it's basically just Dishonored and Plague Tales. And I can't even think of any good movies or TV shows set around the same period. But then again, maybe there's a reason. But at least, or well, my knowledge is that there isn't too much lore from the Dishonored series outside of the main characters. Like, it's not a large world, it's just you're in medieval Black Plague England or France. No, France is Plague Tales. But yeah, you're in medieval plague times, just doing stuff. So maybe it actually won't be a good movie. Maybe it'll be a better TV series. I think that's a lot of things on this list would be a better TV series. But hey, what do I know? I know that we are now onto the second last game I want to cover. Another interesting one, as I've said before, the start of every game basically. And I think it's actually already greenlit for either a movie or a TV show, knowing Ubisoft probably both. That game being The Division. A game that at the time I felt had a very, well, not unique, but good premise. It's like the government putting sleeper agents into their own country, a network of agents all over the country ready to respond to any situation, and then being able to blend in with the local populace. And the movie could basically take place in any city in the United States, with whatever problem you could think of. Like, the guys behind the story for The Division 1 basically came up with COVID 4 years before it even happened. But it could also be like, you could, yes, do your infectious disease taking over a country, or you could do your more classic terrorist attack sort of situation. However, a problem I can see with a Division movie is that it may be too close of a premise to the Jack Ryan TV show from Amazon. Obviously, both of them being a Tom Clancy effort and very similar in audiences that they would reach out to. And once again, anything with Ubisoft's name on it, I don't know if it'd have the ability to be better than the Jack Ryan TV show. I highly doubt it, unfortunately. Come on, Ubisoft, fix your shit. But I've saved the best for last. This game is a part of a little known franchise, and I think it would make a perfect movie. There's just so much rich and deep lore around this series that spans decades, if not more. And what is this game that I believe would make a perfect movie? A little known game called KOTOR or SWTOR. Now, some of you are thinking that I'm being incredibly stupid by saying that, and the rest of you may be wondering what those words I just said even mean. Well, KOTOR stands for Knights of the Old Republic, and SWTOR stands for Star Wars The Old Republic. And now all of you think I'm stupid. Now, of course, Star Wars is already movies. Actually, it was movies before it was games. And it was Dune before it was Star Wars. But anyways, a movie series with some of the richest lore out there. And how much have we seen of that lore with all the movies and TV shows that have been released over the years? Well, 67 years. Thousands upon thousands of years of Star Wars lore, and we get to see the same 67 years over and over again. Most of it taking place between 3 and 4, so we already know where everything has to end up in order to get to 4. But there's so much happening. Like, every couple years I hear rumours of a Revan movie, and I sit back in my chair, I patiently wait for more news to drop on a Revan movie, and it never does. There is so much good characters from KOTOR or even SWTOR. And hell, even during the golden age of the Republic and all that, I guess there was that, was it the Acolyte that was kind of the golden age of the Republic, but it wasn't very good. And it was still too close to the Phantom Menace. Like, you can go so much further back. The golden era of the Republic was so long. The Old Republic was such a long era with powerful Sith and Jedi dueling constantly. There's just so much good stuff you could do. And well, let's be honest, at this point, Disney need to do something with the sinking ship that is Star Wars. It costs them a couple billion. They need to fix it. And I mean, I would watch a Revan movie. Don't know about you guys, but I would watch the hell out of a Revan movie. However, I don't think I will be watching whatever the current Star Wars movie is, if they ever get around to making a movie, because they're too scared to do anything with Star Wars anymore after the flop that was the Rey trilogy. Like, the first one was good, mainly because it pulled at your nostalgia strings. But ever since the flop of the third movie they made, they're like scared, they're like greenlit constant movies with a bunch of famous directors signing on. Like, I'm sure some of you heard there was like Taika Waititi was doing one at one point and a bunch of other people. But yet they just cancel them and they never get released. So hey Disney, me and you here right now, listen, release a goddamn Revan movie, please and thank you. And that's it. 8 games I think should be made into movies, and since I am never wrong, I expect all these movies will be greenlit and start filming by the end of April. And then we'll release around October time and break $1 billion. All of them will break their $1 billion mark, single-handedly saving the cinema movie industry. But anyways, if you guys have some games you think would make good movies that I haven't mentioned, let me know in the comments below. I may also consider making a video about games that need to be TV shows as well in the future. So make sure you hit that little red button, or it's like a white now, or grey. I don't know, you know what button I'm talking about. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.